Hello, everyone, and welcome. And again, thank you for taking the time out to join us today. And a very warm welcome from the Costa Blanca. It's a very, very sunny day here indeed. Just wanted to sort of recap over the last few weeks. Anyone who has missed any discussions, you can catch those discussions on our YouTube channel, Ideal Homes International. Just wanted to really sort of skirt over really where we sort of left off from last week, and also touch on any sort of subjects that may be a little bit confusing for people if you haven't also sort of heard the previous discussion. So just in case you don't know who we are, Ideal Homes, we're a real estate agency based over in Portugal, where our head office is located. And we deal in all sorts of countries, from Costa del Sol, Spain, and Costa Blanca in Spain, to Algarve in Portugal, to Florida in the USA. So if you are not familiar with who we are, please feel free to check out our website, idealhomesinternational.co.uk. Really, I just wanted to sort of go over the buying processes in terms of acquiring a property here in the Costa del Sol and what that entails, and what you need to do and what paperwork you need to have in place before buying a property here. A few questions have come in, so I just wanted to answer those. With what's going on globally, people are wondering if there's going to be a dramatic drop in property prices here. And if so, should they wait, should they hold on, and how much will the properties drop by? Speaking to developers, we haven't seen a dramatic decrease in property value or property cost here. I think developers, especially developers who've been in the industry for quite some time, are wanting to kind of wait it out and play the waiting game, and they're very much so reluctant on dropping their costs. However, they're running a business and it's in their interest to sell so they can move on to other projects and pay off their debts. So what I would say is now's is probably as good a time as any when regards to sort of looking for deals. There are a few developers who are throwing in furniture packs within their property costs for very little or for no money at all. Maybe throwing in the air conditioning. Even one developer is offering a free swimming pool if purchased within the next few months. The reason why I would say now is probably the best time, or the most likely time you're going to receive a deal or an offer, is because flights are starting to resume back to normal from the 1st of July. So from that point onwards, and when border controls are opened back up, we're anticipating that the interest levels will again rise. And for that reason, the developers are going to wait. They're going to simply hold on. And when they feel the time is right, they will then basically continue as normal. So they don't see there is a reason to drop their prices. However, private vendors who are in a certain situation may feel that it is necessary to drop their prices if they're in a particular financial situation which forces them to do so. So with that said, there are some deals that can be had from resale properties, but then it's on a case-by-case basis. So I wouldn't say that there are no deals or property value isn't slightly lower than normal, because there are some developers who are slightly decreasing their properties to incentivize a sale. But as we can see light at the end of the tunnel, if you are looking at buying a property, I would say act as soon as you can. And hence why we're here, to sort of help you and guide you through how to do that. So if anybody has been looking at property or been online looking at properties, you'll see that there is a lot of choice, especially here in the Costa Blanca. How do you go through that minefield of finding the right property for you? Especially if you haven't visited the area before, if you're only familiar with one location, as you may be frequently holiday there. The first thing that I would do is get in contact with either myself or one of my colleagues, and we will have a very informal discussion regarding what you like, what you don't like, what the property is going to be for. Is it a rental property? Is it simply a holiday home? And the more questions we can ask you and the more answers we can get, the better we can help service you, the better we can help identify what locations and what properties will be suitable for you. So once we've done that, we'll then send you over the details on properties in a short portfolio pack that highlights the size, the location, size of bedrooms, whatever it may be, just to give you more of an idea as to what you're looking for. Again, making sure that it matches your requirements. And then it would be a matter of, once you've found the property and the location of choice, to then go through the legal channels to make sure the property is legal, and really to help you acquire the property without you having to do very much work at all. So I'm joined today by my colleague Louise, who works for iMount. This is the legal services that we would recommend for our clients. She's going to guide you through the buying processes and give you more of a structured idea as to how it works in a step-by-step format. And anybody who's got any questions, feel free to enter them in the chat and we can cover them at the end. So Louise, the stage is yours.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm a little bit here to help just give you about an overall of how things work with the legal side of buying a property. As Ben has mentioned, there's a lot of people trying to get to buy their properties at the moment because obviously here in the summer, builders do give a little bit of a discount and or offer some other things. And plus, the other thing is, obviously, I know the bad word is Brexit by the end of the year. People also trying to push things through before all that comes to the end. To give a bit of a, shall we say, a little bit more simpler breakdown of what things would happen when you decide on that property that you are going to buy. Is, for example, the first thing you do is find your property and have to put a deposit down on the property. Normally those deposits are between 3,000 to 6,000 euros. So that's the deposit you need to put on the property. Now, depending on if it's a new build or a resale, it takes a little bit different. If it's a new build, we've been doing this for a long time now, so we know most of the builders. We know which ones are the reputable ones and all the documentation's in order, but we check all that through anyway for you, just to make sure that the land belongs to the builder and that everything is in order. On a resale property, we're going to check that there's no debts on the property and that everything is legally ready for you to buy. Normally, if it's a new build, you're going to go through a stage payment until the property is ready. Do like to make a little bit of an insist that new builds doesn't always mean that you have to wait 2 years down the line. You can have a new build property key in hand, which means that you can actually buy a new build property and move in to the house very quickly. But on the same, most properties have stage payments. So you pay a percentage in the first month, and then depending on the building, you just carry on paying from there. We're going to check that all the contracts that have to be done are all legal, you are safeguarded through the whole thing, so that all the legal issues are in place. With that, contracts here in Spain are not the same as in the UK. Contracts are signed right at the beginning. They are not signed right before completion like they do in the UK. So it's something that has to be done right at the beginning, and that is what's going to legally hold you to buy the property and that the property is off the market for you. On a resale property, also going to make sure that everything that's included is in that contract, so that when it comes to completion, we know exactly what it is. It's also going to give you a guideline of the completion date. On that completion date, so that you can move into your property. On a resale, it can be a short of 6 weeks to anywhere which an agreement between the buyer and the seller is in. Now, it's important that you know that you need an NIE number to actually buy a property here in Spain. This is like a national identification number. It's a bit like your national insurance number. Now, once you have that, it never runs out. So you've got that number for life. So you can do that for you. When you come over to see the property, we would probably ask you to do a power of attorney. The power of attorney is to help everything go through smoothly. We can ask for that NIE number for you and ask everything to do for you. With power of attorneys, people tend to find that they sound a bit, strict and etc. But this is so that we can get everything through for you. For example, with the situation that we have at the moment, a lot of people bought properties before this situation, and we've completed for them during this quarantine. So when the flights and people are allowed to come into Spain, they'll go directly to their new house that they've bought. So that means we can help you do through all that. Now, power of attorneys are pretty simple to do, and plus one thing that a lot of people don't know is that to use a power of attorney, you do physically have to have it. So at the end of the purchase, you feel more comfortable for whatever reason, you can take that power of attorney away with you, and when you need to use it again, just bring it back. So if you feel you want to feel a little bit more secure. And with regards to when we get nearer to the end, we can do all the completion for you, go to the notary. Now, notary is like a legal, where we sign the deeds of the property. They are very high up in the legal system, if you want to say it that way, and we sign in front of them. Normally we do this on your behalf without yourselves, and it just makes the process with the builder or with the vendor's solicitor for you. When completion is done, we will have then everything will be all organised for you, and we'll be able to set up all your direct debits, for water, electricity, if there's gas. Gas isn't very common in this area, so it's not like in the UK that you always seem to have gas. It's not very common here, but we have water, electricity, community fees, and your council tax. So everything would be set up for you. I think that covers. It's a bit of a wide way of talking about it. Obviously, if anybody wants to know more specific to what they're looking for, if it's a resale or it's a new build that they're looking at, or it also depends on which region. Taxes can be different for that. For example, in Alicante region, it's one tax, and in Murcia region, it's a different tax. But if somebody wanted to know like a breakdown, we can give that to them right at the beginning. So, for example, they see a property that you're interested in, Ben sends you a portfolio. You can always send me an email and say, look, I've had a look at this one. Can you tell me exactly how much I'm going to need to complete?
Fantastic, Louise. Thank you for breaking that down. And so just as a sort of as a bullet point, the first step that people will need to take is acquiring an NIE number. Now,
yes.
Can they do that themselves? Will they need someone like yourself to obtain that for them? Just briefly explain how that works.
NIE numbers are something that we ask for at the National Police Station. You can do it by yourself, but it is a very complicated system how to do it on your own. That's one of the reasons why we ask the power of attorney. As a solicitor's office, we have set professional appointments, plus you have to go and then have to collect the documents, and it has to be certain documents to do that. So we would advise anybody to do it through a legal system.
Great. And clients may be looking through online a different selection of properties, and they just want to give themselves a very quick idea as to how much everything is going to cost, excluding maybe extras like furniture. Are you able to provide a percentage on how much the closing fees or the legal fees will cost?
I've always said we always like to say more than what it really is, because it's always better to actually get money back than have to always say you need a little bit more. You're probably looking on an average of about probably maybe 16-17%. It can be a little bit higher if there is a mortgage involved, but it's not very much. And again, it will depend on the region that you are buying, or if it's a new property or a resale property.
And that percentage will cover everything as far as power of attorney, acquiring NIE number, and also setting up utilities as well, like electric.
Yes, we set up everything for everybody that buys a property. So I mean, the easy thing with literally they would need to come over, see the property, come and see us for an hour and a half, go through things for peace of mind, do power of attorney, and the next step would really be, if need, it would be to move into the house.
Brilliant. And you just mentioned it could be slightly more with regards to having a mortgage. Can you just touch on that and explain why that would be?
It's just because of, obviously, you've got bank charges. They have set charges as well for certain costs. So obviously you're going to have like an opening cost for your mortgage. So that's going to put your percentage a little bit higher than what everything else is. Obviously, I'm sure you yourselves have mortgage brokers, etc., that can go into it, but you will have that slightly higher percentage than if you don't have a mortgage.
Fantastic, fantastic. So just as again, just to recap, NIE number, then we come and see yourself and a reservation gets paid. Now, will the client pay that reservation directly to the developer? Will they tend to pay it to you and you would hold on to it? And how would it work, just for anyone, just for peace of mind?
Normally what we suggest is that it's paid back to us and then we pay it on to the builder, just to give, so that we can have a quick initial check, so to make sure everything's okay. As I said before, most builders, we know them and we know that they're fine and we can near enough pay them off. All the builders know ourselves, so builders are happy as well, as long as the solicitor has the funds. They feel more secure as long as there is somebody in between, if you want to say it that way, has the money, so they feel they'll take the property off the market, no problem, and we can send the funds over to them as soon as we have that initial check.
Great. And what type of paperwork will tend to, is critical to buy a property here that you will need to see and make sure it's all in order?
Most of all, we're obviously going to have to need your passport. That's one of the things, it's something that everybody has on hand when they come over anyway, but we will need the passport. But one of the things that people, is something essential now, is what they call is the money laundering system. So most of the times we do have to see some documentation of where funds have come from. So it's not that we want to look into your financial states, it's just that the banking system here have gone very strict with the money laundering system. So they will ask for your account details and they will ask to see an extract from your bank, P60, just to make sure that they know where the money's come from. If your funds are coming from selling a property in the UK, they're just going to ask to see the statement of the sale of the property.
Great. And you've probably helped hundreds of clients, each one with a varying degree of time. How long will it take from first seeing yourself and saying, yes, that's the property I want to go for, to actually receiving the keys? What sort of timescale can one expect?
If you're looking at a resale property, as I say, it can be done in 6 weeks' time. So it is a very quick process. Obviously, in a new build, it's going to depend on when the property is ready. But again, 6 weeks is probably a minimum, for the simple reason of getting your NIE number, which is obviously that's more of your time frame, is really getting your NIE number, is what limits us, if you want to say that way, on buying a property.
We get here at Ideal Homes quite a few inquiries regarding bank repossessions, and people obviously know that bank repossessions can sometimes be a little bit cheaper than the average on the market value. What type of work is involved, and is it a simple process to actually acquire a bank repossession?
Bank repossessions is our headaches, is a definite headache for all solicitors, because yes, they are cheaper properties, but you've got to be careful with those cheaper properties, because you can get those hidden costs. Bank repossessions most of the time don't have water, don't have electricity, and can have occurred debts on the community, which all have to be obviously taken off at completion. Here in Spain, the debt is on the property, not on the person, like in the UK. So if there is a debt on water or electricity, it stays on the property and it doesn't move with the client. So with bank repossessions, you need to connect water, you need to connect electricity. Repossessions are sold as seen. That means that whatever the way the state of the property is, that is the way it is. Also, you need a habitation certificate, and a lot of them don't have them. So you will have to get a habitation certificate. Now, all these things we can get for you and we can do for you. It just means that the process can be a little bit longer, and you do need to make sure that you have a little bit more funds in your savings, if you want to say it that way, to take all these things off. But you can get really good deals with them. As I say, you just need to be very, very wary of how you do it. Definitely would never suggest buying a bank repossession without a solicitor.
Great. Now, the majority of the clients that I speak to, they are wanting a property as a holiday home. They're not going to spend more than 90 days in succession any 1 year to actually stay in the property. So outside of that duration of time, they want to rent the property out. Now, to do that, I would always say is a very, very good idea. And if they can maybe generate an income from the property, or they can help it wash its own face, maybe even pay the community fee so it's not coming from their pocket, I would always suggest, looking down that avenue if it's an option. Is it something that's easy to do? Do you need to formulate a business to do that here? How does it all work?
Renting a property, definitely a good idea, especially summer, Easter, apart from this year, a really good month for renting out, etc. But you do need to take into account that when you're renting property short term, you need what they call is a rental license on the property. Again, IMONT does that for you. We can set that all up for you, but you do need that license to be able to rent it out. You also will have to do quarterly taxes on the income that you are actually receiving from the property. Is it simple? Yes, but you just need to make sure that you keep in with the guidelines of the law, because they are very hot on it, especially down here on the coast, because it's such a big thing at the, with renting properties. So they are pretty much they look at like electricity bills, etc., to see if you are using that property, and if not. So you need to keep your eye open and getting that license.
Great. And let's say, for instance, a client says, right, I want to rent the property. I'm also going to sort of stay here for any duration of time. What's the maximum someone can stay here? I did touch on that just a moment ago, but can you just give us an idea as to how long someone can legally be here for without becoming a resident?
It's 90 days at the moment. Again, there's been a lot of talk about if it's going to change or not. Again, those rules and regulations haven't come out yet. So you do have 90 days. As soon as you go over that, you're meant to be legally registered in Spain.
Great. And a client wants to rent the property out. Mm-hmm. They obviously work and live in the UK. Will they need to pay tax in both Spain and in the UK? Is that something you can answer?
You have a thing called non-residence tax, and you won't have to pay in the UK. You only pay it here in Spain. So if you are in the UK, you just pay what you earn in the UK. But if you are renting a property, you will have to put through those quarterly taxes that of your rental. Again, IMONT has an accounting department that specialise in doing that for you. They would ask you for the bills, because you can deduct a lot of things. For example, if you do have that mortgage, you can deduct a certain amount. If you do any repairs, etc. Again, they're more specialists. They're the specialists in that, but I'm afraid I don't know exactly what they are, but I know you can deduct a lot of the things, and you do pay it here in Spain, and you don't have to pay it in the UK.
Fantastic. I think really you've covered everything. I mean, it is a very simple process now. It's been made very, very simple through trial and error. I think we've now mastered the art of buying a property here, and I think everybody knows exactly how it all works, from people like myself and obviously you. We can answer questions as they come through. So if anybody wanted to contact you directly, if they had a particular issue in mind, have you got an email address that you can maybe say now, and we can also put that just at the bottom on the chat section so that someone can contact you?
Yeah, they can contact me on louise@imontlegal.com. And any questions that anybody has, they're more specific. Obviously, I've given a bit of a general idea of how things work, but you will find that you might have some specific question or a specific property that you're looking at, or something very, send us an email. No question is a silly question. I've always say, because people, I don't want to ask because it's a bit of a silly question. No question's silly. We've all been there and we've all learned, and that's why we've been doing this for a long time.
And if a client has been here for many, many years, they see a property online and it's in the area where they like, but they can't travel at the moment, but they're very, very keen to get the ball rolling. Is there anything they can do now? And is that a simple process? Is that something that people can do?
Yes, I mean, people can buy now. because we can arrange to get, for example, the power of attorney done in the UK. We have a link that searches for a notary in your area so that you can actually do the power of attorney now. And I know for yourselves, you do like videos of the properties, so it would literally be finding that the process is exactly the same, is find the property, power of attorney, get your NIE number and go through with the process. Everything can be done whenever anybody's ready. You don't have to physically be here to be able to start the process going.
Great. And yes, we do have virtual tours, which we're doing for clients at the moment, where we would not only take you to the property, but also the surrounding area of the property as well. Take you down to the local beach, give you an idea as to how far from the property the amenities are, the shops, the bars, the restaurants, etc. And also give you a full breakdown of the property costs. So giving you as much information and arming you with as much knowledge as possible, so that when you do come over, you're already one step ahead and you can really get the ball rolling quite smoothly and quite quickly. And hopefully watching these presentations should give you all the knowledge you need with regards to what the costings are, etc. So fantastic, Louise. Thank you so much for being part of our group today and for giving all of that valuable information to our clients. Now I've seen on the chat section, we've had a few questions pop up. Is there any questions that we can go through now there, Tia?
Hi, Ben. Yes, so Kate, excuse me if I say this wrong, Kate Triona is asked if, I believe that's the NIE is necessary for residents and non-residents.
Yes, an NIE number is an identification number, so it's something you start off with. To be a resident, you would have to first have your NIE number and then become resident. So everybody has an NIE number. That doesn't determine if you are a resident or non-resident. It's just an initial identification number.
Great.
As it stands, nothing else has come through. I mean, you guys have been great in terms of covering everything. So the one thing that's been asked a couple times is the 90 days per year that need to be, they need to be spent in Spain? Is that right? Are they consecutive or can they be broken apart?
No, it's in total of the whole year. So if you go back and forward, etc., it is 90 days in the whole year.
Okay. And back to Kate Triona again, she said she's from Ireland. So would the national insurance from Ireland suffice? I mean, my experience is no, it needs to be the NIE in Spain itself.
Yeah, it's not a European identification. It's specifically for Spain. It's specifically for Spain. So you would need a Spanish NIE numbers are needed for anything. I probably didn't explain that. You do need it for everything. So, for example, if you rented a property, for example, before buying for whatever reason, you'd still need that national identification number.
Thank you. Eric has asked regarding the golden visa. I mean, they've asked how it works. I mean, is that something you're able to briefly touch over, or is it better for them to speak with Ben directly or yourself directly?
I think that would be the best idea with that. I think we had a webinar a couple of weeks ago, I'm not sure, which was specifically on golden visas. But if they're happy to send me a quick email, I will go through everything with them more specific for that.
Okay, thank you. I'll put your email down again, as well as Ben's, so if they'd like to contact you directly, they can. But yeah, like I said, someone has also asked, let me have a look. So they've asked if they rented for a while to check and to basically scope the area to see if the area is somewhere they're interested in looking at. Would they still need to get the NIE? I mean, to rent, would they need it?
I mean, you can initially rent without it, but if it's a long term, they are going to ask for an NIE number. And plus, if you were going to buy anything large, for example, say you're moving over and you went to buy a car, for example, you would need an NIE number. Anything with a large amount of money, they're going to ask for that national insurance number.
Okay. And does anyone else have any more questions? If you'd like to at this point, I mean, feel free to take your microphones off if it's easier. Otherwise, I imagine, Ben, we can look to wrap up unless there's anything else you'd like to cover.
No, I think we've covered so much ground and various topics during the last few weeks. And if anyone wants to watch, as I say, the YouTube channel Ideal Homes International, please refer to that and the previous discussions that we've had. And again, get in contact with me directly. We can offer a slightly better, sort of a tailored approach to answering your questions and dealing with you on a one-to-one basis.
If anybody does have any specific questions or anything to let us know, as I say, as Ben has said, you know, we can go through more detailed information or more specific information with anybody that needs it for it.
Perfect. So so what we'll do is obviously we'll send a copy of the recording out to everyone who has attended and anyone who inquired but was unable to make it. And then if they've got any further questions, they can contact either of you guys directly. And just quickly, I'm going to see if I can, and what I will also do is send the link through for previous webinars. So if anyone's interested in Spain or Portugal, they'll have everything there on golden visas, buying process, locations. Ben, I know you did one on resales versus new builds. So again, very informative. So I believe that would be everything. So thank you very much for joining us all today. And hopefully we will see you soon.
Good in.
See you all soon. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.